Hi, everyone. Welcome to the New York Rangers Draft Preview Special presented by Montefiore. John Giannone, Joe Micheletti, Steve Valiquette will be joined momentarily by Rangers President John Davidson. Guys, as the Rangers continue to formulate their roster into the future, obviously we have to talk about the news of the most recent days, and that is the two most senior Rangers are no longer members of the Rangers, and that's Henrik Lundqvist and Marc Staal. Nearly 1,800 combined games, more than 200 playoff games between the two. Joe, after all this time watching each of them play every game of their careers, provide some perspective on that.
Well, I've always viewed my personal job and what I have to do to prepare for games as a personal relationship with the players and getting to know them on a level that for me to get the information that's useful on our broadcast, you have to have a good relationship with these players. So when I think of both of these two guys leaving, I'm going to miss them personally, because every year we've seen both of them get married, have kids, have discussions about kids, and they're growing up, and all this leading into the season and an ongoing relationship. So as far as the people go, I'm going to miss both of them tremendously from that perspective.
Steve, I'm sure you share those thoughts because you shared a locker room with Henrik for a couple of years. You played in front of Marc Staal. What are your most vivid and fond memories of the two of them?
Well, I think with Henrik, it's just my time not playing. You know, I remember actually going home after a game and seeing my wife, and she'd say something like, "Steve, are you going to play tomorrow?" And I'd stop her and say, "Honey, do you have any idea how good this guy is that I'm playing with?" You know, and that was the sense of real understanding at that time for me about the legend of Henrik Lundqvist and how great he was. And for Marc Staal, coming up with him at the time that he was a rookie, you know, he was brought up the right way. I don't know if we talk about this enough, but Jason Strudwick was a really good mentor for Marc, and Marc did a great job in the locker room. And that's why the Rangers, through this rebuild, the retool, they've kept their team culture.
And we continue the discussion. Always happy to be joined by the president of the New York Rangers, John Davidson. JD, we know this had to have been on some level an excruciating decision, even though it probably made all the business sense in the world and had been talked about for a while. Just take us through the levels of emotion that you felt finally having to say goodbye to Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah, I think both players, actually, when you think about Marc Staal and you think about Henrik, we were sitting talking about it. Combined, there's almost 30 years of service with the Rangers, and both of them playing with a great deal of compassion, a great deal of competitiveness, have gone and won a President's Trophy, have gotten to the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, these are the types of things that are, you really have to weigh on your when you try to make these decisions, and then these are the hard ones to make. Then you have to sit here and look at it and say, we've got to do what we have to do. The cap is different. It's going to be flat for 3 years. There's young people going through this build. Everything adds up. But all in all, it's more about what they did for the Rangers. They'll always be Rangers, great Rangers. And with Hank, when you're called the king, you're called that for a reason. So we have good relationships with both players. We're going to continue that way, and anything they need, we're there for them. And we just have to keep moving, keep going north.
JD, I was thinking about this the other day, because at one point in your career, you were on this side. And on this side, as an analyst, we don't talk much, or we don't worry much about the business side of things. We worry more and we concern ourselves more with the relationships that we have with the players and doing the games. So when I thought about your conversation with Henrik coming off the plane, and then after that, everything you had to go through to get to this point, did that help you to have the personal relationship? Because that was your final year as a broadcaster, his first year.
Yeah.
Did it help you with all this, or was it more difficult, do you think?
Well, you know, Joe, the first time I ever saw Henrik Lundqvist play was at the training center in training camp, his first day. And you know the area where we all the media people and broadcasters, they have a certain area which is right at ice level and probably 30 feet from where Henrik was in goal. And I said to myself, "Ooh, this guy's good. This guy's really good." You can see it in the first 5 minutes. And then he went on to an incredible career with the Rangers. I've always, you know, when it's goalie, you talk a little bit about things here and there. And then when it gets down to these types of decisions, I really like that Hank asked me to go and have a discussion with him. and we did. And it was very honest with both people involved, he and myself, about thoughts and ideas and futures and this and that. And the one thing I really respected about what Hank said was, wherever this goes, I just want to make sure whatever my decisions are, that I don't have any regrets. And that's a great way of looking at everything. Then with us, we have to make these hard decisions. It's part of the business. I've thought about athletes in New York that have, Tom Seaver went on and left, and Walt Clyde Frazier, and a lot of different great athletes in this city. Some of them went on and played. Eli Manning didn't play for another organization, some did. But the player has to make that determination within his own heart and his own feelings. And I know Henrik's going to really weigh everything and make that decision as he moves forward.
JD, when I first started at MSG, Sam Rosen took me aside and talked to me about how detailed your notes were for your preparation. And I don't get the sense that you just rolled out of bed and made a decision like this. What I was really wondering is, did you seek out any advice from anybody else in senior management, either outside the organization or within, that has been through a move like this before?
You know, I kept all those meticulous notes because I have a terrible memory. That was the main reason. But I think that when you go through these decisions, you try to weigh every single option that's available to any of us. You work with Hank. Hank works with his family. Hank has the agency that he works with, and he certainly believes in their help. And so it's all, everybody gets together and makes this thing a decision. I know with, you know, that we've got Chris Drury here, we've got Jeff Gordon here. We even had our, I know the coaching staff. We have Jim Dolan, Mr. Dolan, the owner, weigh in. He's got immense respect for Hank. Yeah. So all these things have to weigh, and a lot of times you get out a ledger sheet, and you have the pros and cons, and just try to weigh them and try to make these tough decisions, and hopefully the right ones. All I know is this organization and Hank, the marriage is still going. It's an incredible marriage. And when you think Rangers, you also, by extension, think New York City and what Hank's been able to do in the city and the New York area with everything, helping people, making life better for a lot of different people. So this is something that's going to continue. The hockey part of it, it's changed right now. But I think the big picture is what we try to look at and have really immense respect for what Hank's been able to do. You know, he's actually been skating up here at the training center and working, taking shots with a lot of our young players and some of our older players who want to get out and work on their conditioning on their own and do things. And Hank's, he can come up anytime he wants to the training center and work out and take shots. It's still a good marriage.
I'm sure the words are ditto for Marc Staal, who played almost 900 games as a New York Ranger and more than 100 postseason games. You think about the resiliency he showed in coming back from that brutal eye injury. What more than anything else, JD, stands out to you about Marc Staal, the Ranger?
I think whenever you talk about Marc Staal, the word that comes up with a lot of different people is warrior. He was a warrior. A lot of fans, I don't think, realize that when you play the way he did over those years, that a lot of times you play banged up and hurt and nicked up and bruised, or you know, some injuries that are tough. He toughed his way through all of those, and he also, you know, over this last year, I got to know him a little bit better, what he meant to the franchise. But there's leadership value there too. And that's something that he's always going to have as part of his resume, wherever he's playing hockey, whatever he's doing. He's a good man. He plays the game the right way. He cares about people, and he has that ability to be a voice.